Hi, welcome back everybody to yet another iteration of the Dollar Streams. It is a beautiful, lovely Wednesday. I've had a busy day today. I'm a little bit tired. I'm sure all of you guys are as well if you had school or work or whatever it is that you did today. Welcome. I see all the classics here, all of my favorites. Hi, looking cute today. Thank you. I appreciate it. When I was in high school, we learned about microaggressions. And one of them listed was your hair looks nice today. This was many years ago. Because it's implying that your hair doesn't look good on a lot of other days. And normally, I feel like I would be very like, yeah, that makes sense. That was one that kind of stuck out to me. I never read it as passive aggressive. Anyhow, hello. You have work at 2 a.m., but you will stay a little. Well, welcome. Lovely to have you. I just think that was funny. That was all. Welcome. Hello, Emrock. Lovely to see you as well. PK file reference indeed. So, my friends, we're going to do something quite exciting today. At least exciting to me. We're going to do some chicken and broccoli today, as well as some beef and broccoli. I have some beef I need to get rid of. We'll figure out what to do with that in a moment. And the reason this is pretty exciting to me today was here last time, just changed your username. Well, welcome, Lady Lafayette. I am pretty excited about today, specifically because I'm going to be trying out some new stuff. Also, Karate Kuba, lovely to have you. Hello, hello. One of them being, I got myself a nice new toy. Hello from Brazil, welcome. I will not wear anything other than black. It's just not gonna happen. Got myself a nice new toy, and it's this nice big pan right here. Okay, this is a nice Mavier pan, aluminum core pan. You're cute, just wanna send you a hug. Thanks, PogChamp, appreciate it. So we have this new Mavier pan, which I'm really excited to use. I have not actually owned a proper big saute pan in a while, and I wanted a nice vessel for my chicken and broccoli. I'm not ready to own a wok because I'm not ready to season it, and I did not have to worry about actually taking care of another carbon steel item. So that's why I went with the Mavier stainless steel. It's a nice new toy that we're going to play with, and we're going to velvet it today, and we're going to do something exciting. So, my friends, we're going to talk about a concept known as velveting. I guess this would be a good time if I was actually talking to like physical people. I would ask you like a show of hands. But in chat, tell me, do you guys know what velveting is? Who here knows about velveting? Because this is a very important concept that I did not realize, okay, how little was actually known outside of the culinary sphere about what velveting is. No. Okay, great. Look at that. Ah, beautiful. That's what I like to see. A bunch of no's in this case. Look at that, perfect. Ah, excellent. So, my friends, I'm excited to talk to you about it. This is going to be a very important revelation, okay, to a lot of you that have ever ordered, specifically, let's say Chinese takeout, any kind of Chinese food, and you've ever taken a bite of the meat and you're like, wow, this is exceptionally soft. I'm wondering what they did with it to actually make it that soft. It's still, sauteed and actually stir-fried, and it's not braised or cooked down a long time. But there is a very specific texture that meat can attain when we follow a very specific series of steps called velveting. Essentially, it is the process of taking something alkaline and treating the meat with it, be it baking soda or traditionally something like egg white, okay? And it really heavily tenderizes the meat and makes it really, really special. It actually has a very tangible difference, okay? It's very, very important. That is how we achieve that Chinese takeout food texture, okay, with our meat. And this can apply, by the way, to my understanding, with any kind of meat. And I have velveted some meat before, but I've never actually done what's called an oil pass. So traditionally, what you would do is you would have an egg white, right, which is very alkaline, as I have come to recently learn. I used to only do it with baking soda, okay? Alkaline, little Shaoxing wine, okay, a little bit of cornstarch, and then they would fry it in oil after it had marinated for about 30 minutes or so. And then they would actually make the stir fry with that meat once it's been fried. According to Serious Eats, you can also probably do that through a water pass, meaning we're going to blanch it in some boiling water first. Works for even fish? Yes, it does. Yes, it does, especially for things like cod or monkfish. It works out. Granted, I don't actually know exactly what the texture of a velveted piece of fish is like, but this is pretty exciting stuff to me today. And so, by the way, as a general rule of thumb, when you cook, it's very important to understand that acid tends to make things firm, and alkaline things tend to make things soft. A really good example of this is when we're making roasted potatoes. Okay? Can you temper chocolate? Of course, yeah. I do it in a sous vide, in fact. So, in cooking, okay, and specifically, let's say cooking potatoes, if you were to say have a splash of vinegar added to the boiling water, the potatoes will be a lot more firm by the time they come out and hold on to their structure. If you were to add something like baking soda, the exterior of the potato will be like falling apart. It's not exactly the same because we're going from a starch to a protein here, but the idea is the same, that alkaline things tend to make protein softer. And that is where the egg white comes in. And I never understood why velveting was actually done traditionally with egg white until I learned the other day that it actually is quite alkaline. And I had no clue of that at all. So, the order of operations is going to be this. We're going to slice up some meat. We're going to combine it in a little bowl with some cornstarch, with some Shaoxing wine, and with a bit of egg white. And it's going to sit there for 30 minutes. We're going to blanch it. Okay? We're going to just dunk it in some boiling water, and then we'll make the stir fry with that once it drains out. And that is how we get that quintessential, classic, imported, essential, that's a lot of adjectives, Chinese food texture for the meat. For it to be really tender, we don't want it to have a lot of chew to it, we don't want it to be too tough, we don't want a dry overcooked piece of meat. It's not supposed to taste like a steak. It's supposed to have that very, very soft, supple bite. And this is the way that you do it. So I think we should get started in a moment. Also, how do you like that? Which part? Velveting? Like velvet, V-E-L-V-E-T? Or Shaoxing? Anyhow, let's get started. Yeah, quintessential essentials is a little bit redundant. Guys, I'm a little tired. It's been a long day. I ran around. I had a bunch of chores to do. Also, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Really appreciate it. Let's head on over. And we got to work on some chicken, my friends. So, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's what actually has to happen now. We have all of this chicken that I'm going to try and use for today. And we're not going to do this in a wok. We'll just have a saute pan. I ran out of gloves, unfortunately, so I'm just going to have to touch this with my hands. Not the best for my eczema. And I'm going to be combining chicken breast and thigh meat, as well as the tenderloins as well. The legs I'm going to save for something else. And we'll try to debone a chicken thigh. It's actually been quite some time since I've had to debone a chicken thigh. And we'll just have to see how that goes. No, that's plastic. Under no circumstances do you ever want to use a ceramic cutting board. Under no circumstances. Absolutely not. It is awful for your knives. I have no idea why, but people have glass cutting boards, or I don't know why it was ever sold. Glass cutting boards or ceramic ones. Insane. Insanity. Sometimes nice cheese boards, but then you would cut it with a wire, not a knife. Guys, the worst thing for your knives would be to cut it on metal, ceramic, or glass. Awful idea. No, it's not. No, in fact, plastic is ideal. Plastic is nice and soft. This is a soft plastic. If it was a hard plastic, that would also be an issue for the knives. Okay, so let's talk about the chicken. Here's what's going to happen. First step, we're going to go ahead and remove the leg from the thigh itself. And so, the way that it's always taught traditionally is you're supposed to find where the joint bends or something and then slice down like this. Don't do that. Is wood okay? Depends on the wood. I love Epicurean boards for home, but in my opinion, and something that I've also come to recently learn as well, wooden cutting boards are a bit hard and harsh on your knives. But they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Wood is okay. I really recommend Epicurean boards for home. Okay, so guys, take a look. You see this line? You see this natural line that is being drawn here by this fat line? Just slice alongside that. Don't worry about where the joint is. Don't worry about bending it. Look at that. We easily just cut through the cartilage, and the legs I'm going to need for something else. Just like that. Nice and easy, right? And boop, perfect. Just slices through. Beautiful. Now, this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. The goal now is we're going to try and peel away this. We're going to try to peel the bone away from the rest of the meat. And that might be a bit of a challenge. So, it's not something I've actually done in a little while. So apologies if I'm not necessarily the best at this. The general idea is you just want to kind of slice as close to the bone as possible, right, without wasting any meat, along either side of it. And you're just basically slowly peeling it back. Just like this. You see how we have this opening in here now? Hello, Sad Cheeseman. Hello, hello. So you see this? How it's peeling back? It's lovely to see you. And so we're basically going to try to replicate that on the other side as well. Okay? Just go as close to the bone as possible. You're not really slicing the bone, you're more like peeling the meat away from it. Okay? Boop. I'm not necessarily the best at this, guys. It's been a while, so please forgive me for being a little ugh when I'm doing this. We're slowly going along the thing. We'll get it done. So, okay, look at that. It's slowly but surely separating. Try to keep as much of the chicken thigh intact as possible. We don't want to waste anything, of course. Okay, this seems to actually be getting done quite well. I think I could do a better job with the next one. And then we're just going to slice that along. Okay, not the best. Hello, Hen. It's lovely to see you. Not the best. We have some meat attached to it still, but we did okay, I think. So what I am also going to do, we are going to peel off that skin as well, because we have no need for it in something like this. We're not trying to get crispy thigh skin or anything. You know what? I'll just do that later. How long do I plan to spend on the mise en place for these streams? It's a good question. I don't know. Every single one is always different. You can chew that meat right off the bone, though. Yeah, that's true, especially when it's raw. That's my favorite way to eat chicken. My favorite. Okay. I'm a little shaky. I have been kind of all day today, but that's okay. Let's go back on this side now. Yeah, and just peel it off. Great, excellent. How do we do? Did I just do a worse job? Did I just rush this one? I think I might have actually just done an objectively worse job this time around. Ah, it's fine. It's okay. Slice that off. It's okay. We did okay. I think that's how we did. It'll do. Okay. So, now my friends, here's what's going to happen. We're going to have to find a nice way to peel off the skin. And there's no better way to do it, really, than to just kind of get your finger in there. Get in there, get it done. Separate it. It's a little dried out because I've had it exposed in the fridge, which is nice if you're trying to get a crispy chicken skin, but not so nice if you're trying to get a good grip on it. Skin has been now peeled away. I'm going to actually have this just be my trash bowl. Perfect. Just like that. Let's get in there. Ugh. Perfect. Look at that. And now let's slice it up. So this is, of course, going to be for the chicken and broccoli. You don't want paper thin pieces, but you also don't want super thick pieces. You want it to be thin enough that the velveting will actually do something to it, okay? But you don't want it so thin that it just completely separates into nothingness. So we're going to go with slices on a bias. If we were to do straight down like this, because of the structure of the chicken thigh, we would end up getting strips, which is not my ideal texture by any means. So I'm thinking, and this would be a lot easier if I just stuck this in the freezer. We'll do nice slices like this and get something like that. That will do nicely. Maybe that one was actually a little thick. That's okay. We don't mind things being a little thick here, do we? I definitely should have put these into the freezer beforehand. That would have made my life a lot easier, but that's okay. It's fine if the pieces are a little inconsistent. We'll actually just live. Maybe not the nicest knife technique, but that's okay. We'll just live. Okay. And the most important thing is we do want to kind of keep the width consistent, right? Because if some are a little bit too thick and some are a little too thin, some are going to dry out, right? Well, the thickness does have some implications for the taste in this case. So that's why I'm I wish I was doing a better job. We could have just put this into the freezer, but we've already started, so it'd be kind of a waste to stop now. But next time, that's what you should do. It is just a little bit more difficult to peel off the bone when it's frozen cold, right? But a lot easier to do thin slices. And you wouldn't necessarily freeze it solid either, right? You would just do maybe like 20, 30 minutes tops. Okay, now let's do the chicken tenders. The chicken tenders, I'm trying to think about how I would even do, because I want to try and get some slices out of this. Maybe we just go on like a really massive bias like that. I mean, that's like the closest we'll be able to get like as a slice out of the chicken tender. Something like that. Okay, sweet. Not the biggest pieces I've ever done, but that's okay. Next one. All of them just coming out. And now we'll do the chicken breast. So, get back here. Chicken breast, same deal. We're gonna have to go ahead and rip this skin off. Let's get it out of here. Looks great, chef. Why, thank you. So sweet of you. Let's get the skin out of here. And again, guys, today is pretty exciting because I normally try to avoid stir fries at home because I've never had like a really good vessel to actually do them in besides shitty, like, you know, non-stick pans, and they don't really conduct heat the way that you want it to. And so, finally, today, I was able to get a proper vessel for something like this, albeit not a wok, which you would traditionally use. But, I tore it up a bit, but that's okay. Just slice that part off. Okay, sweet. Now, as for the chicken breast, we're gonna try to match the thickness of everything else that we've had, if not make it slightly thicker. How would I reuse that skin? You would make crispy chicken skin. In the future, that's something that I would do. Right now, I'm gonna be probably throwing it away. But the best thing to do with extra chicken skin would be to, you know, you can put it on like a sheet tray with like a rack in the oven. And by doing that, you can get really beautiful crispy chicken skin, which is nice to garnish. It's nice to do a lot of different things with. Okay. There you go. Nice slices. What do I do with the tough tissue in the middle of the jaw? Are we talking about the tender? Can you make cracklins with chicken skin? Yes. Well, not exactly cracklins. It'll never have the texture of that because pork skin, right, especially the layer of fat that it has under it, is a lot thicker. But, and I don't care about the tendon. That's my professional answer to you. You can use like a fork and pull it off. Right? You can do all of that. But I don't. And I've never had an issue with it. Sometimes you bite into it and it's just fine. Right? But I have seen people, right, with chicken tenders, what they do is they take like a fork and then they put like the tendon in between the prongs of the fork and then they pull it out. And I just chose not to. That was all. Okay. This is still a little thick for me. That should be fine. Great. Let's do the last one. Just going through all of this chicken right now. And then I have some beef I need to get rid of. So I might just trim it up in the same exact way, what we've done here. These slices, that's a lot nicer now. Do I have a favorite TV or celebrity chef? No. In fact, I very heavily disagree with and dislike the TV celebrity chef construct because they don't teach cooking very well. And they're not necessarily the most knowledgeable either. I don't think they do a good job of teaching people. I think back in the day, the best that was actually around would be like Alton Brown's Good Eats, right? That used to be like the culinary standard of what a really, really interesting and intellectual cooking show would look like. But there's not a lot of good ones out there. But if there had to be one, it would be guys like diners, drive-ins, and dives. That would be the one. Just because it's entertaining. And I like seeing Guy because he's a funny guy. That's it. That's literally the only reason that I would watch something like that. It's purely entertainment value, right? If I was looking for a recipe, I would not look towards television at all. TV food at all. Excuse me. It's been a long day. I apologize. Okay. All the chicken has been sliced up. Besides this piece, which we'll take care of right now. Not the most even slices, but this is about a pound, maybe a little bit more. I do as well. Yeah, he's great. Let's also do the beef. I don't really care about the fact that I'm mixing the beef with the chicken, like cutting board at the moment, because it's all gonna get fully cooked through, right? The beef, we're not like cooking to medium rare or anything. We're not doing anything crazy like that. So for the beef, what we are going to have to do is probably try and peel off some of this fat, because these might not actually make the most pleasant bits for us to eat if this was in like a stir fry, right? We'll just go down bit by bit, get rid of all of it. Perfect. And then, I think what we'll also do is, we'll try to get rid of this big section right here, right? So first we'll just simply slice down. Oh, it just separates actually. There's no need to do any of that. yeah, the beef is actually at a really good point that we can just peel all of this off. And if I was doing like a braise, I would not need to do any of this, right? But this is going to be a stir fry. This is not going to cook for that long. This will just simply get super, super tough. And this is why chuck is traditionally used as a cut for braising, right? Because all of this you don't have to necessarily remove. And in fact, it gives you like a super, super flavorful, super gelatinous, cooking liquid. But if you're doing something like this, where it's gonna be a stir fry, it's gonna be a really quick cooking method, it's really nice form to get rid of all of the extra big pockets of fat and all the extra big pockets of sinew, okay? So get in there, we can rip this off, I think. We did, actually, it did the job, sweet. Get in there, rip all this off. This we can just slice off now. I would have made my life a lot easier had I started with a cold piece of meat, but guess what? I did not, and now I'm suffering the consequences for it a little bit. Okay, so as for this piece right here, let me try and see if I can pull any of it off. Might be a little bit more complicated this time though. Yeah, this one I'm just gonna have to slice off. Gonna try not to waste anything if possible. Trying to think about like what's a good way to attack this. Let's trim this up. Something like that. Probably with the knife. Oh, hen, you know what? I never thought about it that way. Thank you so much. Guys, can we please get a thanks hen in chat? Can we please get a thanks hen in chat? That'd be lovely. Hen, that was great. Thank you so much. Okay, so that is basically trimmed up as much as I want it. Thanks, hen. Ah, perfect. Okay. That should be trimmed up enough for me. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. Okay. And now we're just going to do the same thing as we did before, right? I guess this is still a very annoying piece of fat that we have right here because this one's still like really, really thick. All right. We'll try to get rid of it. We'll try to peel this off. It's kind of difficult when you're working with pretty small pieces of meat because then it doesn't stay put on the cutting board or anything. Okay, that should do it. Sweet. That's that. And then we'll try to get this bit of meat out. Nice. That should do it. Okay. This is all the chuck that we trimmed up. We did waste a little bit, but that's okay. We will simply live with the consequences. So let's go ahead and slice this bad boy up. Look at that. And now this chuck should already be significantly more tender than it was before because we did get rid of all, or at least most of, the very big pockets of connective tissue, right? Could maybe go a little thinner on that. And for this piece, we'll slice it like this. Okay. Let's get all that into the bowl. Next up, we have these. This one's a lot more fun to cut, I will say. This was the unused chuck from Sunday, that's right. It's currently Wednesday, it's time for it to go. And I think this would just be fun to use because I was originally just going to do the no tissues had Wi-Fi. Originally, I was just going to do the chicken broccoli and then figure something else out with the beef like earlier today. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to try and velvet both of these like this, right? I think that'll just turn out fine. Yeah, this was from Sunday stream. Okay. That is all that trimmed up chuck. That's all that trimmed up chicken as well. And now we gotta make the marinade for it. So, my hands are pretty disgusting at the moment. I'm gonna have to start getting rid of some things from the cutting board as well. And we'll get a nice fresh space to work on as well. Wash my hands up. I would normally use gloves for something like this so I don't have to go through the process of washing my poor eczema-ridden hands every single time. But alas, that actually just wasn't an option for me this time because I ran out of all my black gloves. So I bought a new box. Also, University, welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a beautiful day today, my friend. Okay, so we're gonna make the marinator, specifically the velvet, for all of this meat. What we're going to do is combine a little bit of beaten egg white, a little bit of Shaoxing wine, a little bit of cornstarch, and a bit of salt as well. And I have some proportions. These are both approximately 1 pound each of meat. Let's go back to this camera for a second. Hi, thank you guys for sticking with me. I know that wasn't the most elegant or beautiful process. You followed? Thanks for being here. I'm gonna get this chicken out of here. I have no more use for it at the moment. I'll wash up my knife a little bit later. Just get rid of this as well, cleaning up my station as I go because it will make my life just that much easier. Okay, hi, welcome. So here's what we need to do. I have some proportions listed out because again, I don't normally velvet with egg white or anything. And this is just gonna be a first for me. Normally I do a velveting with like baking soda and water, and this is a bit more of the traditional method. And so for every single pound of meat, you're looking for what? You're looking for 4 teaspoons of Shaoxing wine, 4 teaspoons of cornstarch, half a teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of egg whites. And you might be like, whoa, what is a tablespoon of egg white? What is that? It's a good question. We're gonna beat it up first. We're gonna first beat the egg. Okay, and then we're going to measure out some of the egg white. And the reason for that, the reason we're actually getting quite specific about this, hey, what's with the oven rave? Oh, yeah, that's because of the refresh rate on the light panel. It's interesting. We have to, yeah, we do. We're gonna have to separate the egg white, and we have to be a little bit specific about it because if we have too much of it, it might mess up the texture of the marinade. It might have too much of a tenderizing effect, is my understanding of it. So, in which case, let's go ahead and beat up some eggs. Have that right here. Perfect. So, in total, we're gonna need 40 tablespoons of egg whites. Yes, because we're doubling up this batch. And let's have a little station as well set up where we could put in the separated yolk that we won't need. Okay, so egg number 1, let's give it a nice little crack, right? Then we're going to hold it upright. We're going to let all of that white spill out, just like this. And then a very nice way of separating your egg yolks. You can get your hands in there, right? You can separate it in between your fingertips if you'd really like. Or you can do this slightly more modern approach of passing it back and forth a couple times. And that should get rid of most of it. And then we have a dedicated yolk compartment right over here where we drop it in. And that should be the egg white. Get it in there. Crack it open just like this. And I'm sure it's fine if a little bit of egg yolk gets in there because we're not beating into like stiff peaks or anything. Normally, you do have to like be super careful about separating it, right? If you try to beat up like eggs that have a bit of yolk in them and you only wanted to get the egg whites, you won't be able to get the consistency that you need. You won't be able to get like the super thick foam. But that's not what we're doing. All we're looking for is the egg whites specifically for how basic it is, for how alkaline it is, right? Okay, come on. You can come out, buddy. Get in there. That egg white is really, really fresh. It is holding on to it. Okay, done. Let's wash off my hands really quick because we got nice and up close and personal with all of those eggs. Now let's beat them up. All right, thank you for stopping by, Lady Lafayette. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna put those yolks into the fridge. I'll figure out what to do with them later. Maybe I'll just make an omelet with a bunch of extra egg yolks for fun. And so we do need to beat it up because it's not currently homogeneous, right? You have like the membrane that's holding together the egg white, and you have some of the liquid. If you try to measure this out, it won't be that even, right? Because it's still like somewhat solid. And this, effectively, all this is doing, we're just breaking this up. That's all that we're doing here. We're just breaking up the egg whites into this very, very nice, smooth liquid. That's all. Just something that we'd be able to spoon out a little bit easier. Right? You see it's taking on air, we're not really looking about the air, we don't care about that or anything. We just want to break it up enough. Okay, that's enough, that's totally fine. Let's get a separate bowl. God, I have a lot of bowls already. Where we will build the rest of the marinade. Okay, and then we'll mix it in to the chicken and the beef. So, let's go ahead and measure out 4 tablespoons. That's what we'll need. And normally, guys, once again, I really, really hate cooking with tablespoons or any other, oh, it's actually not as broken up as it could have been. Whoa. Still like some big streaks in there. Not lifting as easily as it should. Okay, let's give that a shot now. Look at that, you try to pour some in, and it basically slips out. So that's a little bit less than 1. A little less than 2. We'll probably have to end up doing 5 of these, right? 3. 4. And we'll do 1 more. Okay. That should be fine. That's perfect. Okay, and now in here, here's what we're gonna need. It's gonna be pretty simple, pretty important measurements. What do we need? We're gonna need 8 tablespoons, or 8 teaspoons, excuse me, of chefsink. Originally I had it as 4, but then I ended up doubling this. So, in fact, how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon? Is it 3? I'm pretty sure it's 3. I'm not insane, right? Okay, it's 3 teaspoons. I am correct. I remember my very basic math. So, basically what we're doing is we're getting 3 tablespoons of chefsink, a little bit less than 3 tablespoons. That's a much nicer way of thinking about it. This doesn't have to be so perfect, right? We're not baking. It's not that complicated of science, right? So we'll do about 3 of these. 1, 2, and then a little less. 3. Just like that. And then what are we gonna need? We're gonna need about a teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of kosher salt. And then we'll have to actually dry that off because we have to put in the cornstarch. Okay. A whole teaspoon of salt is gonna go in because this is enough to make 2. 1 and 2, and this is kosher salt. In this case, it's pretty important because we're using volumetric measurements. Otherwise, if you were to calculate it by mass, all salts would be the same. I'm using kosher salt. It's a little bit more coarse. You need the, what is it, the whole teaspoon. Okay, and then the last step is we're gonna need what? Cornstarch. Let's wash this off really quick. And dry it off because it is going to go into cornstarch, so you don't want this thing sopping water or anything, okay? And so again, guys, this marinade is not necessarily for flavor. I'm sure the addition of the chefsink wine is, but the salt is going to help actually penetrate and season the meat, okay? And the egg white is going to serve a very important tenderization process, and the cornstarch builds a coating because we're not washing this marinade off or anything, right? It's going to stay in it. It's very, very important. So, we're gonna need 2 tablespoons and a little extra of cornstarch. We'll just do that now. I don't exactly know what I'm gonna do with the beef yet. So 1, a little bit more than that, 2, and a little bit extra. Perfect. Just like that. Maybe. The answer is maybe. And the reason I'm saying that is because sometimes you would like to salt eggs in advance to try and sort of relax the protein structure before you go ahead and make an omelet with it. That is something that I do. I salt my eggs in advance and I let it sit 15 to 30 minutes. However, I am fairly certain that that amount of resting, okay, it'll tenderize the eggs in a way that I think you can just get done without the salt. So will it do anything to the proteins? I don't entirely know. Okay, this, my friends, should be everything that we need, all in here, to build this little marinade, to build this little velvet, to build this little slurry. Okay? Don't splash at me. Who do you think you are, idiot? It was a little messy, but we got there. You know what? Maybe a spoon would do a slightly better job to get the sides. Because we got to get all the cornstarch mixed in. It's pretty important because it's going to build the coating, okay, on the outside of the meat. It's going to get dunked into the water, and then we're going to stir fry with it. And it is that coating that's effectively holding in the Shaoxing wine and protecting the meat from overcooking is my guess as well. It's like the same idea as like if you were to do like a fried chicken, right? You're breading it so that the meat inside actually just gently poaches, and the only thing getting color is the stuff that you put on the outside. It is for that reason that I think these are kind of similar. But sometimes you can just velvet without doing this whole process, right? If you were to velvet with just baking soda and water, then you would rinse out the extra baking soda so it doesn't taste too metallic or anything. And then you would cook the meat as normal. But in this case, in Chinese velveting, you're building a very, very slight cornstarch coating on the outside. Traditionally, you would deep fry it, but it actually works just as well, okay, in water. We dunk it in water, we cook it there for just a minute or two, and then it's ready to go. Okay. Shaoxing wine, salt, egg whites, cornstarch, just like this. We're going to put it in a bowl. We're going to mix it around, okay? And then we're going to put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes or so. Then we have plenty of other stuff to do. Also, while this is happening, I'm going to set the pot of water onto the heat because we got to blanch the broccoli as well. The broccoli needs to be blanched, as well as this. So we're gonna just make it nice and efficient. We're gonna do both in one fell swoop. Okay, I just wanna make sure that we got all the clumps of cornstarch out. I'm pretty sure that we did. I'm going to go ahead and go through it with chopsticks one more time, just to be super safe. And then we got a couple things to do. We gotta blanch the broccoli, we gotta build our sauce, we gotta chop up some aromatics. And this, my friends, should be the completed velvet, or the completed marinade, excuse me, for the meat. So, both of these are approximately a pound. Maybe the chicken is a little bit more, so we'll just do a splash extra in there. And we should use all of this. 1, 2, just like this. And let's get the rest of that out and into the chicken. And we'll go ahead and mix all of this around. Go in there with some chopsticks. Oh, that's a little bit tough because these bowls are kind of tiny, aren't they? Normally you really want to get in there and mix it around. But these bowls I might have picked just a touch too small. You do want to be pretty aggressive with it. I should have picked some bigger bowls. I'm a little stupid. What's the name? What, of this song? So you do want to be pretty aggressive. You want to make sure that everything is coated on all sides. Okay. Get in here. Can I get bigger bowls? I can, but you know what? I will do that in just a moment. I won't do it for the beef. The chicken is a little bit more in volume. Okay, the water is coming to a boil. That's nice. Okay, this is fine. The chicken we're actually just going to transfer out to a slightly bigger bowl because it'll make my life significantly easier to do that. Okay. Great, and I know it doesn't look very appetizing at the moment. It is quite literally just white stuff poured onto the chicken. But it'll do a good job, I promise. Okay. Not the ideal tool. Ideally, I'd use my hands, won't I? There you go. That should be fine. And this, my friends, it needs to go in there for about 30 minutes or so. Okay? Needs to go into the fridge for 30 minutes. Oh my God. I wound up the chicken in between my chopsticks. Okay. All of that is now coating the chicken, and it's just going to get dropped into the boiling water. We're going to go through the meat one more time, but that just seems to be good. Okay, sweet. All that, I'm going to throw that into the fridge. I'm going to give my hands a quick little wash, and then we'll get started with the rest of what we need to do, because we have plenty to do today. Well, actually not that much, but enough to keep ourselves occupied and busy. So, meat in the fridge. 30 minutes or so is the minimum amount of time. I'm quite confident that you can go past the 30 minutes and it won't be that big of a deal. Wash my hands. Let's dry them off. Sweet. Hi. I'm excited too. I'm just cleaning off my station in the meantime. Okay. Excellent. Exciting, in fact. So here's what we have to do. We have to chop up some aromatics. We have to blanch the broccoli. And then after that, we have to build the sauce for the chicken and broccoli. Okay? We do have to do that. Because all of that was just still the velvet. The base of the chicken and broccoli, of course, is going to be a mix of light soy sauce and dark soy sauce. It's going to be some oyster sauce in there as well. I don't normally cook with oyster sauce at home. I never really have some. I would love to be able to do some more Chinese food at home. And oyster sauce is one of those things that you really need to have. Nice little sip of water. And I am actually now going to wash off my knife, the contaminated knife that we had, because it'll be nice to work with. I want it. We following, guys? We following along? This is all still pretty new to me. This is not necessarily something that I do at home very often, and I would just like to do this more at home. That's why we're doing all of this today. Okay. I'm just going to put some stuff into the dishwasher while I have a moment of time. Now, let me wash off that contaminated knife. We'll get started with everything else. Hello, hi. The broccoli is pretty simple. We already have it mostly washed. All we're going to do is just cut it up into bigger florets. And we'll set up an ice bath for it as well, because we're going to blanch it first, right? We're going to blanch it and then shock it in some cold water, because we don't want to overcook it or anything. I got to get a lid for the pot is the only thing as well. There she is. Perfect. Boop. Okay. So, broccoli. Here's the deal. We are going to take this out and it's going to go into ice water after. And I need a place to store the uncooked broccoli. I think I could just use the same exact vessel that I'll put it in now. That should do just fine. Okay, sweet. Here's all that's gonna happen. We're gonna have it down on its head. On the broccoli, it's really nice to go at a nice little angle, and then just to trim off the florets, and then we're gonna chop them up into smaller ones. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is by chopping it directly down and directly into the florets, you're going to get a big mess on your cutting board, okay? Oh, you love the little teapot? I love that little guy too. Okay, so I never go through it directly like this, okay? I'm always separating them. But we wanna try to get nice thin ones. To me, one of the most unpleasant things in a chicken and broccoli is landing into a broccoli that is so huge that it occupies all of the real estate in your mouth. And that's why I'm going to opt for slightly smaller ones. And if they're not small enough, we'll figure it out. Okay. That's that, that's done. These are all now just going to separate. This one, we're going to separate it like so. It fell apart a little, but that's okay. The smaller ones will do just fine as well. Don't sweat them too much. Okay. These are all fine. These are all fine. This one, we're going to just split it down in half like this. Now these are the bigger ones that I would like to get rid of. Just slice it down like this, and then it falls apart. Take this and slice it down through the stem, then crack it open. Okay? And that way we try to mitigate as much of a mess as possible on the cutting board. If you were to slice directly into the florets, it would be a disaster. Okay. Is that another moth in here? I keep getting moths in my kitchen. I don't know why. Well, we'll figure it out later. Okay. For now, that is perfect. That is for the chicken and broccoli. Let's go ahead and clean off our station. I'm gonna do that with a bench scraper. Where is it? This we have no use for. Now, I will say, one consequence of doing what I did here, which is put them in the vessel that I'm gonna take them out in, is I'm not able to set up my ice bath. So, let's go ahead and transfer that to a different bowl. Or to a different plate, it doesn't matter. On the broccoli, we're just gonna give it a head start. We're gonna cook it for just a minute or two. The blanching is pretty important, in my opinion. It's a pretty essential step. Okay. That's done. Let's get the ice bath ready. Do I have any amount of crushed ice in here? Oh my God, I only have these massive ice cubes. Wait, do I not have any ice? Oh, this sucks. No, I lied. Guys, I do have ice. You know what I have? You know what I have? I have this one massive ice cube. That's not going to do that great of a job, honestly, at shocking the broccoli once we take it out, and that does take up a lot of space. Oh well, it'll be fine. We won't cook the broccoli for too long. The carryover heat will take it all the way. Okay, get it in there, and I'm gonna put this bowl in the fridge in the meantime, just so it doesn't melt or anything. Now, we'll go ahead and work on the aromatic components. So we need to do some scallions, we need to do some ginger, and we need to do some garlic. The scallions, also, hey Daisy, lovely to see you. The scallions, I'm gonna separate the greens and the whites. The whites are gonna get cooked in, okay, as part of one of the aromatic components. And the greens are going to be added at the end of the process. So, oh, I also have this one last piece of broccoli. Great. And that is enough to match the chicken. You kind of want the same volume of broccoli as you do chicken. It is chicken and broccoli, okay? And the broccoli serves a very functional part in that it just soaks up all of the sauce in its little crevices. That is the best part of chicken and broccoli, is a broccoli that is just dripping with sauce. It is phenomenal. It is to die for. So here's what's gonna happen. First step, we're going to get rid of the greens from every single one of these scallions. I don't actually need that many. I'm trying to think, how much am I gonna do here? You know what? We'll do all of it. We'll do all of it, and it'll be fine. You can't actually have too much scallions in something. Oh, shit, I should also start soaking my rice. Oh no, that's a pretty important step that I kind of forgot about. Let's do that as well. I feel like everyone has the same one. Yeah, there's plenty out there. In fact, I know a lot of ones for baking are also made of plastic. Okay, this I'm going to actually put a pause on at the moment. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the rice. The rice does need to be soaked. We are making haigu rice. And we'll get that into a saucepan. So guys, once again, do you guys remember my spiel about haigu rice? About how this is not brown rice or white rice, but it is just something in between. It is a secret third thing, okay? It has the germ intact. It has the brand polished off. The brand, not the brand. Has the brand all polished off, but it keeps the germ of the grain intact. So it gives it a little bit more fiber, it gives it a little bit more nutritional value, and it has the texture of white rice while having a little bit more flavor than the brown rice does, okay? This, in my opinion, should be the kind of rice that people should be eating a little bit more of. That's right. Well, that's why I'm saying this spiel every single time. For all of the uninitiated, I'm making an active effort to try and include this into my diet because I feel like the common diet that I eat doesn't have enough fiber in it. And this does a pretty good job of that and returns some of the nutritional value of the rice which was once lost. Haiga. So Haiga. I'm going to show you guys the bag. That's what I'll do. This is it. This is haigu rice, right? Technically, this is a Japanese rice. I'm making a Chinese dish. It actually I think it does not matter because I'm just doing something very important, which is trying to include a little bit more nutritional value when I can. I don't love brown rice because I don't love that texture. I love the texture of white rice. And this is somewhere in between the nutritional value of white and brown rice, but it has the texture, well, the texture that is closer to that of white rice. Okay? And that is why I love it. I really do love it. I've made an active attempt to try and integrate it into my diet, and so far it's just been lovely. So, I'm gonna wash up this rice really quick. I'm not washing out all of the starch, right? I'm keeping a little bit in. Okay. And this we're just basically gonna have soaking, and we'll have it ready by the time that we need it. Because you can't eat this without rice. The rice, as much as the broccoli, is a very functional component. It is the starch, it is the base. It's what's going to soak up all of the sauce, okay? You can't have a meal like this without rice, or some other staple grain, or a staple starch of some kind. Okay. My rice has officially been washed. I have a little bit of water on top of it. Yes, no, me too. I really do not like the taste of brown rice, and I don't love that texture too much, but this is basically just white rice with a little bit more, character, in a way. And so, it's something that I'm basically trying to swap out in everything that I cook. I will not, under any circumstance, eat brown rice the same way that I do white rice, because it just doesn't do the same thing for me. It's just not the same. Okay, they're two different products. So, my friends, I do believe that the stove is currently going. So, here's what's gonna happen. The rice we're just gonna set aside. We're gonna have a station, okay? We're gonna have ice water ready to go. that I actually put into the fridge and totally lost and forgot about for a moment. The ice water I'm going to have sitting out here. This is the pan that we'll be using later. I'm just going to move that aside like this. Perfect. And what's going to happen, we're going to throw on the broccoli. We're going to have a spider, this fun little tool, that everybody should own, one of these bad boys. It's basically a strainer on a long stick to take the broccoli out. Ow. That hurt. We're going to take the broccoli out with this. It's a very, very nice tool to have. You're not messing around with tongs, taking a million years to try and take it out and then the broccoli overcooks. Okay, we're not doing any of that. This is it. This is the thing that you're going to need. And I'm also going to use this for when we blanch the beef, and we're going to do it in the same water, just because it'll save on some time. So, without further ado, let's open up this pot of water. Let's get the broccoli in there. Have a plate ready to go already. Sweet. And this is actually just going to need a minute or two, tops, because it's still going to cook later. It's still going to soften up a little bit more. And the reason we're throwing it into the ice water is to stop it from cooking once it has reached the doneness that we want for now. This is just giving it a bit of a head start. That's all that we're doing. We're going to just set a timer now for about a minute. That's all that this needs. Crank up that heat, get it back to a boil, 1 minute, and it will be fine. It's going to cook more later, it's going to soften more later. This just helps it to cook evenly alongside the meat. Okay? It also makes for a lovely little snack. I'm going to do my best to not snack on the broccoli as we go. I've never been described as soothing before. I think I've always been really intense. That's very sweet of you to say that I'm soothing. I'm glad that I could be soothing for you. I'm glad that I can do that. Okay. And so we're going to chill out the broccoli, and then we'll strain it out, because we don't want any excess liquid to go into the stir fry once we do get to it. Okay? We just want the broccoli itself. So chill it out once it's cold and it has stopped cooking. Then we'll get rid of all the excess liquid. Now, the water didn't need to be boiling the whole time. I promise you that this already helped to give the broccoli the head start that it needed in life, so that it will be fully cooked through and not overcooked, not mushy. The worst thing that you could possibly have is overcooked broccoli. It is mushy, it is unpleasant, nobody will like you. Don't do it. Do not do it. The only time that you should ever be considering overcooking your broccoli is if you're doing some sort of a broccoli soup and you need to blend it down. Okay? Under no other circumstances should you have mushy, overcooked broccoli. It just should not happen. So, I'm getting my broccoli back in there. I'm just tucking it into the ice water, especially the florette side down. You want nice, crunchy broccoli with a good bite to it. We're going to just move the ice around as needed. It'll be fine. It'll stop the cooking process. It's okay. Great. Hi. Not any more intense than your average Brooklyn resident, well, you know, and I'm glad that I could provide in that case. The water, we don't need to just keep it at a rolling boil for now. Let's not waste the excess energy. The only time that we'll need this water again will be when we do the beef. So right now, the broccoli is cooling down. I can already tell with the temperature of the water that it's mostly cool. I'm just going to mix it around. I wish I had some crushed ice. You know what? Bland blanched broccoli, totally fine. It does what it does. It does what it needs to for me. Okay. Let's head back to the cutting board and let's get started on all of this. So, we have two components here. We're going to have the scallions that will get added at the end, and we're going to have the scallions, okay, that are just going to get chopped up and cooked alongside the rest of the aromatics. So, this bundle is going to be for later, and this is going to be for now. All that I'm going to do, I'm just going to slice these in half. And then we're just going to do a pretty, you don't have to do like a super fine mince or anything. You can just chop it all the way through, okay? Something like this. I looked at the water, I saw Dari's reflection. Did you really see my reflection in the water? Okay. And actually, I don't think we have that much prep to do. We really just have to chop some garlic, chop some onions. And by onions, I mean the scallions. We have to chop some ginger. And that's really it. There's not that much else left for us to do. And I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do with the beef. That's actually the one thing I haven't decided. I said, you know what, I'm going to velvet it and then I'm going to figure it out. But maybe going into things without a plan is actually just not the best idea. Maybe we shouldn't do that. And it's fine if it sits there and it velvets. It's not going to disintegrate, right? It's not in baking soda. It's just in the egg white. So it'll be fine if it sits there. But I just don't know what we'll make with it. That's the only thing. Okay, bundle all of this up. Nice chop through. You don't want big pieces of scallion. This is all going to basically dissolve into the stir fry. Just going through all of it, getting a nice little dice on it. Ah, this actually just might be plenty. Well, we'll see. I do like scallions, so maybe I won't complain about getting more. All right, boop. Scoop all that up. And then we'll do the next batch. And then we got to make the sauce. That is the last bit of prep that we have to do. We're going to make the sauce in advance. It's going to be some homemade chicken stock that I have. It's going to be some oyster sauce. It's going to be the soy sauce. It's going to be good. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be really good sauce. Okay. Let's get all this chopped up as well. Nice gentle claw as we slide down it. Nice. Everything is going according to plan. The only thing that was kind of messy was the velveting, the initial part of it. And then we're going to do the passing it through the water stage. If we were to theoretically take it as it is now, when it's in all of like that egg white and all that cornstarch, and we put it onto a pan for it to then, stir fry, we're actually just gonna make a mess. Some of the batter is gonna drip off. We're gonna get a bunch of burnt cornstarch on the bottom. What the passing it through water actually does, or through oil, is it essentially seals in that coating and gets it stable enough for us to then stir fry with it. Okay? You don't want to just go into a pan at this stage. That will be a mistake. We have all this green onion. Holy shit, we don't need that much at all. All right, I'm gonna slice up this much of it. We're gonna slice up this much, and this I'm actually just gonna put into a container and into the fridge, just so it stays nice and fresh. Do I have a lid? Yes, I do. I should have a lid. Okay. This is gonna be the green onion that's added at the end, right? We're gonna toss it in. It's gonna be awesome. How's the beef looking? How's the chicken looking? Excellent. Great. It's all doing what it needs to do. Now, we're gonna go ahead and stack all this up. And this is gonna be the garnishing green onion. Normally you see me do like a super thin slice. I want nice angled green onions in this case. I want nice big angles, and I don't want them necessarily paper thin, okay? I want them to have a little bit of crunch to it. So I'm thinking personally, something like this. Nice aggressive bias so that we get like all of this shrapnel. We get these big slices, these big shavings of green onion. This is how I want it at the end. Okay, look at that. Those are the kinds of pieces that I want. You could have even gone with an even more aggressive bias, right? Get them like super angled, get them super long. That will do just fine for me though. And that is all of the green onion now chopped up, sliced up. We gotta now focus on the garlic and the ginger. How long has the meat been velveting for? Let's see, oh my God, we've already been live for 1 hour and 12 minutes. Oh my God, I'm going really patient. Okay, So let's do the garlic and the ginger. So for the ginger, I actually have no idea how much I want to cut up for this. What do they say? What do they suggest? This isn't the kind of a thing that you need a recipe for at this point, but it'll be fine. What are we doing here? Two teaspoons of minced ginger? I don't know what the fuck that means. What does a teaspoon of minced ginger look like? That's a useless measurement. All right, instead, we're just going to take off a piece like this. And then we're just gonna trim it up. I'm okay with wasting a little bit of the ginger skin. It's a ginger. It's as cheap as it gets. I don't wanna do this whole like messy spoon shit. I'm not about that. This is more than fine. Okay. Go get the skin. And we'll mince that up. We want a pretty fine mince on it too. Okay, that should be fine. Let me tuck that away. First thing we're going to do, just slice it up just like this. Oh my God, I really wish I had gloves for this because ginger is a little bit harsh on my delicate hands. My skin is not going to be happy with me after. It's already not the best at the moment. I do have a new thing that will help me though, so I'm excited about that. Okay. Now, let's get all this ginger. We're going to, I've been trying to stack it up for the last however long. We want to essentially organize it, something like this. And then we're going to get nice little super, super thin sticks of ginger. Just like this, okay? And then we're going to give all of this a nice little turn, and then we'll get a minced ginger. Hello, sweet dog. Oh, such a warm greeting. Okay, all these little matchsticks like this, and now we'll go through it all as thinly as we can and mince it up. You don't want to get a big stick of ginger or anything, okay? I would imagine that would be quite unpleasant. Look at that. That is what that should look like. Lovely. Now, how much ginger is that? I don't know. We're gonna go through that a couple more times just to get a really, really fine mince on it. Again, I don't want massive pieces of ginger in my food or anything. Where did I learn how to chop? Self-taught. Self-taught. Okay. That should be perfect. Is that 2 teaspoons? Hell fine, how that looks more like a tablespoon, if anything. But it's just gonna be okay. I don't know how strong this ginger is though. Ginger tends to be quite variable, much like garlic, in how intense it is. Let's clean off my station again. Okay, and now finally, let's do the garlic. So, you know what? Ooh, let's troubleshoot. Let's troubleshoot right now. Ready, Zia? Tell me, Zia the Meek, the one and only. What is it about the claw that you have difficulties with while I moisturize my sensitive little paws? Tell me, hit me. What is it about the claw that you specifically have difficulties with? Because I'd be able to help you troubleshoot it. And I have a lot of theory and a lot of thought on the subject. I just don't feel like I have the control. What do you mean? I promise you, any issue that you're having with the claws, unless it's like a very specific physical one that you have, okay, you will be capable of it, and there might just be something that you are missing. And I think a claw grip is not actually that well explained. So what do you mean, like run me through it, right? Let's say you were to go ahead and you were to do a claw, and you say you don't feel like you have the control. What happens? What are you feeling? Do you feel like you can't move very well? Do you feel like it's not actually guiding the knife? Do you feel like your knuckles aren't in place? I'm curious what you mean by you don't have the control. I would love to help you with this, is what I'm just trying to say. You can't move very well. Okay, so tell me. Let me run you through a scenario right now. Ready? You feel like, all right, I'm gonna chop something. I'm gonna put a little bit of effort. I'm gonna do a claw this time. And you feel like, does it feel like your hand is stuck? Does it feel like your hand is stuck in place when you're doing a claw on your cutting board? Is that the issue that you're having? Ah, your knife hand and your claw hand aren't on the same page. Okay, so try this. Would you have difficulty moving your hand back if you were to hold it just by itself without necessarily even having a knife in the other hand? Would you have that kind of difficulty? Because there's two potential issues that I can tell you right now where this is coming from. There's two places I have off the top of my head of what is causing this. Probably not. Okay, so there's two things probably at play here. Ready? Guys, this is super important. This is claw theory because nobody actually talks about this. Nobody gives a good guide onto these kinds of things. Okay, so number one issue. You're slicing, you're doing your thing, and then you feel like at some point your claw becomes like this and you can't move back anymore, but you're trying to hold the vegetable in place, but you can't move it back and hold it in place, and it's a whole mess. And the answer to that is knowing the exact amount of tension that you need to both hold the vegetable and move back at the same time. And I'm gonna show you an example. I just need anything. Do I have like a lemon? Okay, sure, I have a lemon. I'm gonna show this to you on a lemon. Ready? So, if you were to hold this vegetable a little bit too firm, what's going to happen is, let's say you have a nice claw and you want to keep this angle. Number one issue, it's a little too firm and you end up moving the vegetable back with you. Number two issue, let's say you had a bunch of things all cut up on your board, okay? And you needed to move it back. And then you move it back and then this happens and it all spreads out. And the issue there is because you need to let your pinky and your thumb guide how much you're holding, and this is what actually just slides down with you. You want to make sure that they're behind your other fingers. These are the ones that are firmly in place, but the ones that are on top are gently placed above the food. Look what happens. Look what happens when I do it like this. Ready? I'm keeping it together using my pinky and my thumb, okay, and moving back with my hand. Keeping it together with my pinky and my thumb, and the stuff on top is just gently gliding. So what you want to do is be a little bit more firm with your pinky and thumb as you're holding something together, but put very, very little tension on the top. And that way, none of the food comes with you when you slide your claw across. None of the food. If I were to go through all of this, I can just easily slide it, just like that. The number one issue, and nobody talks about this, they say, oh, make a claw and then you move it back. But it doesn't work when you have a bunch of little pieces that you're actually cutting up. Your pinky and your thumb hold it together, the top three fingers guide the knife. It takes a lot of practice. This takes practice. Nobody actually talks about how difficult this is. I'm not the best at it either, and I've been cooking for a very long time. The more you do this and the more you're very mindful with this, then you'll actually do it. And this is not the kind of a technique that people talk about, and it is insane. It is absolutely ridiculous. That is the number one advice that I give about a claw. So it's actually not your fault at all, but it is the fault of all the million YouTube videos that tell you, do a claw grip, and they don't explain any of the mechanics behind it, and the person who does it can't even do it correctly themselves. It's genuinely infuriating and so frustrating to see. Sorry for yelling at you. At the end. It's genuinely not your fault at all. Trust me, I have been in the online food content sphere for a very long time. This is one of those things that say, oh, you have to learn knife skills, you have to learn how to do a claw grip. And they don't teach you how to do it correctly because they don't know what they're talking about or doing, and they're just regurgitating everything else they've heard from other people in the online food content sphere. But this is how you would actually do it. Or rather, this is the understanding that I've come to on my own. This is what has worked for me in my hands. Okay? Sure, that makes sense. And here's the thing, in most kitchens, in most professional kitchens rather, and we're talking about professional meaning like this is just a restaurant, right, where people go and they work to make money, they're not necessarily cutting like this either. This claw grip thing is fairly technical. Not everybody does it. Okay, so we smash all of our garlic cloves. Oop. Excuse me. Threw the wrong thing away. Well, I would like to get a little better at it, and I would like to get a little bit more refined at it myself to be able to do that. And of course, there's all kinds of other factors too, specifically the size of what you're cutting and how sticky it is. For something like garlic, God, I hate cutting garlic. It's actually just my least favorite thing ever. Yeah, great, excellent. Not enough people do that. Nobody knows how to do that. Nobody is ever taught to do that. It is not an instant technique that you're able to ever just pick up and then all of a sudden you're proficient at it. Not at all. It's fairly technical. It takes a bit of time. Also, hello. Lovely to see you, Strong Jaw. Okay, garlic time. Cut the butts off. That one doesn't need any cutting on the butt. And then I'm going to do the same idea, right, before. Or if it's something really, really tiny, I put my thumb on the back end of it, right? For these, I'm actually just going to slice it somewhat like this. Okay. Flip that over. Get the rest of the slice going. Right? In this case, this is something that is so tiny that none of what I just said actually applies because I'm doing these one by one. I do not at all. I've just been cooking for a very long time. I've been cooking for my whole life. Also, that's a very sweet thing of you to say. Thank you. I do try my best because I would like to be educational. And by the way, guys, once again, if you have any cooking questions, especially if it's something that you've had chronic difficulty with and you felt like nobody else could explain it to you, ask me, because there's a pretty good chance that I might just be able to help you with it too. It is endlessly frustrating the amount of poor information or the lack of information that is actually out there online. Okay? So, all of this just getting nicely chopped up. Again, it's a little bit tricky with garlic, right? Because it is so sticky. I'm going to do this one more time. I don't care about the garlic being too fine or anything. The ginger, I'm just trying to avoid massive pieces of. But I don't mind getting a little bite or two of garlic from time to time. Yeah, that should be more than fine. What I just did is more than fine. Okay, sweet. That's a garlic for the stir fry. That's all done. And now, my friends, let's go ahead and do the sauce. That's the very next and the last thing I believe that you and I, that's us, that you and I need to make. Okay. Last thing is going to be the sauce. Aromatics done. The garlic, the ginger, the scallion whites, these are going to be the finishing touches. Okay? And then we builded the sauce. And the sauce is basically going to go in at the last minute or so. Let's go ahead and do that. And a nice big bowl yet again. Let me look at my measurements now, because again, this is not something that I do particularly often at home, and something I'm also experimenting with, right? So that's why I'm relying on a different external recipe, which I normally would not do. But this is actually just so that I build my own understanding of everything. So here's what's gonna happen. What do we need? Ooh, we need a lot of stuff, don't we? First up, let's start with a 1/4 cup of Shaoxing wine. That's 1/3 of a cup, not this one. This is it. My friends, Shaoxing wine. There's an entire, whatchamacallit, Chinese cooking demystified video just about this one product as well, okay? This is technically a rice wine, but I think it might also have some wheat and barley as well. And it's salted, so it's only good to really cook with. This isn't really drinking, this is exclusively cooking wine. So, 1/4 cup of that going in. And it is shelf stable, so you don't need to necessarily put it into the fridge or anything. You do not also want to drink that at all. It is quite unpleasant. Okay, Shaoxing wine goes in. Next up, we will do, what is that? 1/4 cup of oyster sauce? We'll do 1/4 cup of oyster sauce. Oyster sauce, pretty essential, okay? I love that I have remixes of Pokemon music. Thank you. I love Pokemon to death. Now, as for how the hell am I gonna get oyster sauce out of a bottle? It's a good question. Did not mean to hit my little camera. How the hell do people get oyster sauce out of this thing? Come on, buddy. Come on. Dude, this is brutal. Whoa. This is actually the worst vessel that I would put a viscous sauce in. This is like a ketchup bottle. Its flavor profile and yeah, not good. Okay. This is... Okay, come on. It's all gonna come out at once, isn't it? I'm going to get way too much oyster sauce now. Oh, okay, that's about 1/4 of a cup. That should do nicely. Let's get that lid back on. And this, guys, if you're at all familiar with how fish sauce smells, this isn't actually all that far off. Not something that you want to take a big whiff of, especially if it's not something that you were used to. Some people like it, not me. Okay, next step, let's get some chopsticks. I'm gonna use those to just simply dig this out. The butter knife method, which is what? Just getting a butter knife and putting it in there. Okay, that will be fine. I don't care about getting all of it out. It'll be okay. Next step, I'm going to get a bit of light soy sauce and a bit of dark soy sauce. I do love dark soy sauce. If you guys ever tasted it, it is that much more intense. It's really special. The oyster sauce you want to keep in a cupboard, in a fridge. Well, it depends. I feel like traditionally people don't do that, but it does just keep it fresh longer. So a bit of dark soy sauce. This I'm not being too precise with on the measurement of. A bit of light soy sauce as well, going in now. We just don't want too much liquid is the only thing I'm trying to avoid, because it is supposed to thicken with the cornstarch. That is the only thing we have to be mindful of. Okay, light soy sauce done, dark soy sauce done as well. I will have no use for them at this moment in time. I also don't have a good place to put them yet. Uh-oh, I'll figure that out later. Next, how much cornstarch do I need? 2 teaspoons. Well, first, actually, let's go ahead and let's do the stock. So I have some homemade stock here. We're gonna do about 1/3 of a cup of that. I'm gonna do a little less because I've had some of the soy sauce to compensate for the liquid. Not gonna need that measuring cup anymore. Okay. Then we will need a splash of sesame oil, and then we'll do the cornstarch. Beautiful. We could also do some sugar if we want, but I will simply try and abstain. Nice little swig of sesame oil. Not so much that it completely comes out and overpowers everything. That can easily become an overpowering element. The broccoli has chilled out. I'm actually gonna strain this out now. Before I do everything else. Because I don't want wet broccoli going into the stir fry. Okay, it's pretty important. You want it to be nice and dry so that it fries and doesn't steam. Okay? Great, glad we're all on the same page. Okay, I am going to abstain from the sugar. You can add it if you want. I am trying to remove all sorts of added sugars from food consumption for me, because it is something I just strongly disagree with. And I think firmly that if you're gonna add sweetness to something, it should be present in a different component in the dish. And I feel like we just have a very nasty habit as humans to add a lot of sugar to things that don't even necessarily need it. Right? Because it just started happening at some point. And we have so much excess added sugar in other points of our lives that we're bound to just get all that extra sugar in a different place anyways. So you may as well try and reduce it in places where you can. And that's a very, very important part of my culinary theory and philosophy. I'm also gonna get the water back up to a boil in a moment, in the meantime. So it's nice and hot. And I think I'll also do the rice while everything is happening. The rice has soaked enough. It's not totally soaked or anything, of course, but it should be soaked enough that we can do things with it. I'm gonna get the pan out of here. Don't have that much space in this kitchen, but country girls make do. I'm not from the country, I'm from the city. Okay, let's head to the stove for a second. This is it, guys. It's been soaking. I just basically want this done and warm and ready to go when we're eating. Okay? So, this is gonna go on the heat, and the idea is you bring it up to a boil, drop it to a simmer, cook for 15 minutes. That's it, nice and easy. The water, we're gonna get that back up to a boil, and the idea is we're gonna throw in the chicken, and then we're gonna strain it out. We're gonna take the spider, we're going to put it over the strainer and make sure we leach out all that excess liquid, and then we'll build the stir fry. And we'll start by sauteing the chicken, then we'll throw on the broccoli to heat that up, we'll scoop all that out, and then we'll fry the aromatics and all that oil, and then we will put everything back in, cook it together, and then build the sauce. So, let's head back over here. We're going to go ahead and mix all of this around. Actually, I should not have a lid. My rice is bringing up to a boil. It's fine the way it is. Okay, this, I'm just going to mix through. I'm gonna use a whisk. What am I silly? Am I a little silly? I think I'm a little silly. I think that's what's going on here. I think a whisk will actually just do a slightly easier job for me than the chopsticks in this case. And so guys, this is the soy sauce. This is the oyster sauce, which is an essential component. Okay, I'm gonna actually show you the brand of oyster sauce that I got. I got this one. This is the premium Lee Kum Kee oyster sauce. They have a different one that's not premium that costs half as much, but I am told that this one just straight up tastes better. So I got this. I had a couple of people in my ear tell me that, and I will trust their opinions. This is the Lee Kum Kee premium oyster sauce. The world of navigating all of the different fermented sauces that actually go into Chinese food, I mean, it's a lot. And it's something that I would actually just love to get better at. As time goes on, it's something I really, really want to become like proficient at like navigating so I can use it more in my own cooking. And that's what a lot of this is today for me. I don't normally make this kind of food at home. I don't normally do Chinese food at all, right? And I would just like to, because I love eating Chinese food, and I wonder how home viable some of it is actually going to be, and if some things are better off to actually just get as takeout instead. And I would love to learn a lot of specifically Chinese home dishes. I would imagine. I did not have a suitable mesh for it though. Okay. This is the sauce. We're getting it in there. I still have a few clumps that I'm gonna have to work out, but nothing a little stirring can't fix, I suppose. And this already, if you were to take a smell of that, that is starting to smell a little bit more, and it's still not cooked, right? Like your traditional chicken or beef and broccoli. It's got the oyster sauce, it has the dark soy sauce, the light soy sauce. And guys, it really is phenomenal how different the dark and the light soy sauce tastes. I'm only getting used to different soy sauces very recently in my cooking journey because I focused on some different things, okay? So at this point, I am just trying to get a better sense and better understanding of all the different soy sauces that are used in Asian cooking. And calling it Asian cooking doesn't even do it a lot of justice because of how various and vast all of it actually is. I mean, there's so much variation, there's so many different countries, there's so many different regionalities and cultures, and to reduce all of Asian cooking into something like, you know, use soy sauce, right? And the way the most common way that's implemented in the Western household is people keep a bottle of Kikkoman on hand. There is so much variation in the way that all of these different regional soy sauces actually taste. And the way that they're used and at what points in the cooking they're actually used, all of it is just actually so different. And so, I would like to just become more educated on that. And that's what a lot of this stream is for me today. I don't normally do chicken and broccoli at home. I don't keep oyster sauce on stock. But now I'm slowly building the pantry that would be capable of doing a little bit more Chinese cooking. I have oyster sauce, I have light soy sauce, I have dark soy sauce now, and I should look into getting a couple more fermented objects, a couple more fermented products, that I could just keep around. It's like saying European cooking, exactly, yeah. And European cooking has a ridiculous amount of variations depending on which country you go to, all of them with different history, right? A flat bottom carbon steel wok, yeah, I agree. I needed a saute pan. I have a nice new Mavier saute pan. I'm going to do a carbon steel wok at some point. I just did not want to season it for today because I really want to do this today. And I don't have one yet, and I don't want to season one yet. So, my friends. Oh, why thank you. It's very sweet of you. That includes chat, I suppose. I do still have some lumps in there, don't I? I'm going to try to get rid of some. I do see that my water is boiling, though. I'm going to just drop the heat on that. So is my rice. Drop the heat on this. Cook that for 15 minutes. And I'm going to get my chicken out. The chicken seems to have velveted. It's done its job. And we're going to build up that coating. Now, what does need to happen, though, my broccoli has been strained out of all of its liquid. My broccoli needs to go into a different vessel. I'm just going to have that chill out on a different plate. Because the beef, or the chicken, excuse me, does have to be strained out. Okay. That's just going to chill out and hang out. In the meantime, I no longer need my sesame oil either. Okay, sweet. I do have to unclump this. Yes, no, it's ridiculously nuanced, right? Because every single country in Asia, they all have basically different ones that they're using. Different brands, different companies, and they sometimes they're seasoned, sometimes they're not. They're fermented slightly differently, right? It's all just different stuff. Okay, I'm just going to whisk this a little bit more aggressively now. Just get this all incorporated, free of lumps, because we do want the cornstarch to thicken everything evenly, okay? It's pretty important. But yeah, I might just do the whisking, or the mesh sieve, excuse me, next time. All right, that's going. Yeah, the rest needs about 15 minutes, and it'll be perfect. How's this looking? Is that fine? I think that's almost fine. Okay, it's all coming together, baby. So let's head to the stove. And so here's what needs to happen. We need to go in with every single piece of chicken individually. Is that a moth? Again? God, the audacity of this guy. It needs to go in there, and we're gonna need to blanch it. Now, as for how long we need to, that's a good question. I think it's like what, like a minute, 40 seconds? Yeah, it's about 40 seconds or so is what we'll do. Because if we're doing chicken, we may as well... Dude, are we serious right now? I'm so sick of this moth. Okay, it's fine. Everything is fine. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with chopsticks because I think they're actually a pretty good tool for placing things individually, right? Because that's what we're trying to do. And also, by the way, something I forgot to mention, for what we're doing, which is called passing it through water, right? We do need a splash of oil. I have some peanut oil here. We're gonna do another splash. And I forgot exactly why we need to. It was listed in the Serious Eats thing. They actually tested it. Hello, lovely to see you. Okay, so let's move all of the chicken around. It's all got this really very thin coating, right? Very thin bit of that velvet going on. And all that I'm going to do now, I'm going to have a timer on my phone that I'm going to set for 40 seconds. I'm being a little bit anal about this because I'd really like for this to all come out well. We'll do about 50 seconds. Let's do 50 seconds. Because the chicken is slightly thicker than like 1/8 of an inch, which is what the original technique was derived for. Okay, and then we're just gonna go in bit by bit. All of these pieces of chicken going in now into the boiling water. This isn't very efficient, is it? We might actually just do this in batches. Yeah, fuck it, let's do this in batches. So that we don't get some overcooked, some undercooked, right? We'll do this in batches. It'll be fine. Okay. Come on, buddy. You're doing this to make sure none of these pieces really stick to each other. Okay, we'll stop now. Start a timer for 50 seconds. We'll move the chicken around in this process as well. And it's already really picking up that look, right? That look of a like stir fry before it's actually fried. just already had it ready. I already had it going. Just move them around. I'm not going to try to scrape the bottom because this is an enameled pot. Oh, honestly, they'll be done in a second. I don't need them longer than that. That is already kind of the look that I'm going for. That is perfect. That really is. I mean, if you've ever seen like a steamed chicken, that is actually just what that looks like. Okay, and now we're going to take all of it out because we just needed to build up the coating on the outside, right? We don't need anything past that. It's not to cook it through. The chicken is basically raw on the inside at this point. All of that was done for the sake of making sure that we have that coating developed. Also learn oil velveting. Well, no, here's the thing. I am told that doing a pass-through water is actually really similar to doing an oil velvet. And doing it an oil velvet, it's a little bit easier than doing a water velvet than an oil one. Is easier because you then won't have like a big vat of oil that you're gonna then have to deal with, right? Okay, that is actually pretty cool. That's the texture that I was going for. Yeah, and it's got that film. It's got that film on the outside, right? That cornstarch film. That's what we're looking for. That is what's going to stir fry. I'm just making sure that all of the pieces of chicken this time around are just nicely separated when we go into the pot. And so we don't get a repeat of last time. Okay. The water should be now brought back to a boil. It sure is. We can begin anew. I need to wipe off my station for a second. Okay, this moth. No. Where are you? I'm gonna kill this thing. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of this moth. Vile creature. Okay. So, next batch is gonna go in now. We have the chicken pieces. We're gonna lay them in there one by one to make sure that none of them are too tough or too stuck to each other. That's what I meant to say. We might have to do a third batch, is what's just gonna have to happen. Ooh, I sliced these too tiny. Okay. 3. We'll do a third batch. It's okay. Batch cooking for this actually is just fine. Okay, we'll do a third batch. Set the timer on for 40 seconds starting now. Also, thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate it. Grease grabber takes care of the oil. It's such a process at home. I don't like deep frying at home because deep frying in restaurants is nice when you have a filter and you have a station set up for it. It just does a lot. It's really great. Now, look at this. Oh, that's just good. We're gonna stir fry it. We're gonna get some good color on it. Okay, is my timer ready? Yes, it is. Let's go ahead and transfer all this stuff out now. Let's get all the chicken pieces out. But I don't like deep frying at home. It really is a hassle. It is a chore. I will avoid it any chance I can get. Okay. That's all done. And then we have one last iteration left. And this is the chicken thigh meat, this is the chicken breast meat, all of it mixed together. Well, hold on. Passing it through oil, you're basically deep frying it, aren't you? You still have an entire wok full of oil that you have to go through. It still is a process. Okay. And now the last step, my friends. Boom. Boom. It's not coming off as easily as I would have liked it to because it's sticky and covered in cornstarch and cold clumps of meat now. Come on, buddy. You got this. You can do this. I would hate to do another batch because I just want to stir fry. I just want to cook, man. I just want to grill. Okay. Let's get these last pieces in here. This is a lot of chicken. I just realized how much chicken this is. Okay. For 30 seconds. Okay. Now we can just get rid of this. We have no more use for this. That's going in here. Hello, Taza. It's lovely to see you. Yeah, but okay. Yes, you can do it in a shallow vessel. And it's nice if you have a wok and you're doing all of it in the same container. But you still need a place to go ahead and put that like extra cup of oil. Ah, that time it was loud, wasn't it? I think personally, it might be a hassle still. That's all. I think passing it through oil is a little bit less convenient than this. And if you do a small quantity of oil, the oil temperature is just going to drop significantly. As soon as you put in more than, if you do like a third of a pound of chicken at a time, right? You need a good amount of oil to be able to actually properly fry it. Okay. All that's done. All the chicken has now been officially blanched. It has hit the blanch dimension. Yes, no, I understand it's passing it. Okay, hold on. I see that moth again. Oh, gotcha, bastard. Oh, get bodied, dude. Get bodied. I killed that thing finally. I was so sick of it. Okay, now my friends, here's what we gotta do. This we are totally done with. We have no more use for that cauldron of boiling chicken water. Okay? Now, we'll go ahead and take that off the heat. It's just gonna chill out over there in the meantime. And now, my friends, I believe we can actually begin the process of doing the stir fry. Let's get that pan out. So, this is my nice new Mavier pan that I have right here. And so the order of operations is as follows. First step, we're going to saute that chicken. We're going to saute it in a bit of peanut oil. So we'll get that going right now. And it all has to happen in batches. We want to make sure that we're not overcrowding the pan at any point during the process. So peanut oil going in. You want a generous amount to be able to actually coat the bottom. And we're going to get that nice and hot, my friends. Okay. The chicken has been sitting here in the strainer. It's been straining out the whole time. I don't think I need my spider anymore, do I? I don't think so. Okay, my chicken broccoli is done. Or the broccoli is done, excuse me. The broccoli is blanched. That's done its job. That's all dry. I'm gonna need a separate vessel for it. Okay, sweet. The rice is almost gonna be done as well in a moment. So in about 3 minutes, we're gonna take it out, we're gonna mix it through and then just let it chill out until we're ready to eat it. And this is going to be the sauce. And so, the process is gonna be as follows. We cook the chicken, we're gonna get some good color on it, we're gonna take it out. Then, we're going to go in with the broccoli with a little bit more oil, cook it, take it out. Then we'll go in with all of these lovely aromatics that we have here. The scallion, the ginger, the garlic. Cook that, take it out. Then we're going to mix everything back together and add the sauce. And that is how this is gonna happen. Batch cooking is pretty essential for something like this. Okay. But still, it's annoying to deal with. A cup of oil, trust me, a cup of smoking oil after is gonna be annoying to deal with. The water passing, I'm doing for the first time today. Let me see. What am I doing here? Okay. I'm excited to get this going finally. I'm excited to actually get to the process where we make this thing happen. I will say, I'm actually now just going to kill the heat on the rice. That should be more than done at the moment. All I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna go ahead and open this bad boy up. You see that? Perfectly cooked thing of Haigu rice. All I'm gonna do is just fold it through on itself. Get all the bits off the bottom as well, because there tend to be some raw rice granules on the bottom. And so this helps them to all evenly hydrate. And then you need to realistically let this rest for at least 5 minutes or just let it chill out until you're ready to go. And in this case, that's done. That's done its job. That's just gonna chill out now. I'm just gonna have this over here. Oh my God, I think I splashed some water. I splashed some water into the oil. Ooh, I just made my life difficult, didn't I? Okay, it's fine. It'll get out of there in a second. Okay, come on, buddy. Chill out. What do you think you are? I actually have too much oil in here, don't I? That is a lot of oil. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, sweet. The chicken is basically ready to go. I need a bowl that I'll be taking it out in. I think I'll just do it in that bowl. I need a plate to put this on. Sweet. Okay, the oil is now nice and hot. It is shimmering. Okay, we might just give that another second or so. Yeah, that is way too much. I do not need that much to start with for sure. I'm gonna take it out because then it could just make a mess. It'll just splash all over the place. Take a good like third of that out. That is some nicely heated oil. Now we can go in with the chicken. The chicken is still a little wet, so it might splash. It might be kind of annoyed for a bit. Oh, it's fine. So you don't want to overcrowd this by any means. Just like so. That should be okay for now. I'm gonna go ahead and dry off this vessel. Okay. All right. Let's head on over to the stove. Where's my stove shot? Aha. And so I'm not necessarily too concerned about tossing it and mixing it around or anything. That's for woks. That's if you have like a really good heat output that it can keep up with that. And you're trying to actively cool the pan down. That's what tossing it really does in this case. Right? The chicken is not stuck to the pan or anything. We do have to move it around. It is sticking more than I would like, but that's okay. I wonder why it is sticking so much. Maybe I did need more oil. I wonder. Well, it'll be fine. I think I should have just left it alone a little bit longer. Is what should have happened. Because the cornstarch might just be sticking before a proper bond has actually formed. And so this batch is actually maybe a little done for at the moment, but we'll see. Yeah, that cornstarch is stuck to the bottom. A little bit unfortunate. I think I needed to just have heated up more and waited a second longer before I actually put the chicken in. But that's enough color on the chicken itself, and it's all going to cook more later on. So we can do out with it, and we'll go in with the next batch. We got to return some oil to the pan because the chicken took some of the oil with it. Come on, buddy. Yeah, maybe not the cleanest that I've ever done. I do wonder why it is sticking so much. It must have been the oil amount. It's not sticking that much either. It is able to get some color on it, right? It's able to get some browning, but not a crazy amount by any means. Okay. And all of this is unpeeling pretty easily. So I think all that happened was I moved the chicken too quickly after I set it down. All right, next batch of oil is gonna go in. I'm just getting rid of as much of this as I possibly can so that this doesn't burn. Next batch. Be a little bit more generous this time. Come on. It does not like those bits of chicken that are still in there and still stuck. That's what it's hissing at the moment. Okay. Yeah, the cornstarch needs a second, right? It's for it to actually get going. And that's why you're not trying to immediately cook it. You're not trying to immediately stir it around. So you need enough oil that the cornstarch just sets a little bit before the chicken actually goes in. But you know what, guys? We live and learn, okay? So we'll just figure it out. All right, sweet. Oil is more or less heated through. I'm curious. The texture is perfect, by the way. Super tender. That is exactly the way it needs to be. The only thing I'm getting is, unfortunately, that slightly cooked cornstarch taste, which is actually now only going to further develop the longer I have all of these pieces in here. And I wonder if I can do anything other than actually manually scrape all of that out, because that is a chore. I guess we'll just have to find out, won't we? Oil is nice and hot now. I think the broccoli will do a good job of cleaning it up, but we'll see. Chicken going in now. That is the last of it. We don't need any more. We don't have any more chicken to get rid of, rather. And I'm just going to leave it alone. That's how I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let it do its thing. Just for a second. Little better this time, right? It's actually just coming off clean, but I'm not going to touch it. I'm actually just going to leave it. Okay. Hi. Hello. And I know it looks unseasoned at this point because it is. Okay, that's a lot cleaner. That is coming off a lot easier. So my suspicion was correct. I needed to give it some time, and I needed some more oil. That's it. That's all. And now it's actually stir-frying. As always, all of my issues in the kitchen come back to my own innate lack of patience. That is literally everything every single time. And it is funny that I keep coming back to the same thing over and over again. Yeah, everything is just patience. That's all it really is. There it is, my friends. That's what it should look like. It didn't heat up as evenly as I would have liked it to, though. That piece is a little thick, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, no, this is great. This happens all the time. So, Chinese cooking is all patience and technique. Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, here's your reminder. If your meat is sticking, if it's like a cornstarch and you did like a velveting thing, right? Oh, sweet ink. This bad boy. That one. It's pretty sick, isn't it? Ow. Don't pop at me. Who do you think you are? Okay. That has now done its job. Properly this time. That got some decent color on it. It's all fine and dandy. All right, let's get it out of there. And now we'll do the broccoli. We do need a little bit more oil for the broccoli though. A touch more, we won't go crazy with it. Oh, and let's try to get, am I gonna be able to get rid of all this? All this burnt cornstarch is gonna give it like a very, flavor. I know what that tastes like and I don't love it. Yeah, I'm able to. It's all fine. Okay, I got rid of most of it. That's okay. The rest of it is just gonna go into the sauce and it'll be fine. All right, next iteration of peanut oil going in now. And I don't think we'll need any more from here on out. That should be fine. Just to coat the bottom, and that should be for the rest of it now. Just drain the water out of the broccoli one last time. It's a little wet. It might just end up splashing all over the place, but that's okay. We'll actually just put up with it. I think. Okay. How's my oil doing? I'm gonna give it another second. Gonna give it a second to heat back up, and then we'll go in with the broccoli, and then we'll throw in all of these elements that we've cut up, and do the sauce. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be good stuff. All right, that oil is now sufficiently hot to go broccoli moding. We're gonna get some good color on this now. Perfect. Probably give that a second too, but this shouldn't really be sticking or anything. This should just be sauteing. Okay. I know what to do better next time. That's the most important part. I'm not too accustomed to actually cook with velveting as a technique in mind, but I'll just do better next time. That's all that's gonna happen. All right, now is the point where I think we'll just switch over to a wooden tool like this, a little wooden spatula. We'll try to get as much color on the broccoli as we physically can. We don't need to keep tossing it around and moving it around. It's gonna get cooked. Don't you worry about that. Cover up all the space. I'm gonna leave it alone for just a second. I'll get rid of this pot of water as well in the meantime, because it's just sitting there and hanging out. Okay. Is this actually getting any color on it? And do I need it to get color? Is a better question. I should probably just leave it longer. That's all. That's all this comes back to. It's just me being impatient again. Okay. And then final step is going to be us throwing in all of these aromatics that we have here chopped up. This is the scallion, this is the garlic, this is ginger. And all the seasoning should just come from the sauce that we've made. And all come together. Okay, the broccoli is getting a bit of color on it, which is nice and welcomed. I do wish I kind of had some more broccoli. You know what, I'll have this actually go for another second. This is still a little too firm for me. Hot. Okay. There we go. Let's go ahead and do this. Back in with the whole chicken. All of it going in now. Let's go ahead and toss all of this together. And now, we're going with the aromatics, my friends. So, ginger, scallion, all in now. That's a lot of aromatics, holy shit. We'll just give that a second. And I assume we're adding it now at this stage, right? So that it doesn't burn. If we were to add this directly into the oil, we would have risked scorching all of that delicate garlic, all that delicate scallion, all that delicate ginger as well, which would not have been preferable. Give that a second. Keep up the heat on it. Just keep moving it around. Okay. Lovely. And then we'll do the final stages of it, which is just going to be adding in the sauce. Ah, this pan's getting quite heavy. I might not be able to toss it like that much longer. Okay, to me, the aromatics are sufficiently cooked. I'm just mixing it around, making sure all of it that isn't in contact with the pan gets in contact. We'll give it another few seconds. Ow, hot. Really hot, in fact. And the final step is just going to be the green scallions, the green end of the onion, and of course the rest of the sauce, which is the base of this, right? This is where all of the flavor for this dish is going to come from. It's the most essential component, and under no circumstances could we forget about it. Okay. Now, let's lower the heat so it doesn't immediately burn as soon as it goes on. Pour all of that on in. And then we're going to just simply reduce it and cook it until the cornstarch has thickened and done its job. We're going to deglaze the pan, I think, a little bit. Maybe not too much of it, right? Because we don't want to try to get that burnt cornstarch inside. Get all that in here. Get all of it mixed around. That is shaping up and smelling the way that it really should at this point. And we're going to do half of the green onion. And as soon as it cooks down, the cornstarch is going to activate and do what it needs to do, which is just to thicken the sauce, make it nice and glossy so it sticks to everything. Okay? And it's already doing that. You can already see by its viscosity. We'll turn up the heat once more. That, my friends, smells and looks like a chicken broccoli. And we just want to heat up the oyster sauce a little bit too, right? We want to heat up the Shaoxing wine. Give it a second, let it do its thing. I'm going to clean off my station in the meantime. Just get rid of all of the stuff that I do not need anymore. Hi, hello. Guys, this is the final stage. We literally have nothing else to do after this besides eat, which I'm quite excited to do at this point. Oh yeah, there it is. That's the viscosity that we're looking for. That's getting really nice and saucy now. That is perfect. Look at that. And it's going to thicken more as it cools, of course, because it is boiling hot at the moment. But that is a texture. Thank you to the power of cornstarch. Oh, that looks great. In fact, I'm curious how it actually tastes. Yeah, there it is. Nice and viscous enough to coat everything, for the broccoli to take it in all of its little pores, to hold in all that flavor. That looks lovely at the moment. That looks fantastic. And despite the fact that we did kind of mess up on the initial batch of the chicken, everything seems to be having, gone fine. Mmm. Fucking delicious. That's what that is. That, my friends, is a delicious chicken and broccoli. Oh, that's perfect. Mmm. It's really, really intense. Whoa. That sauce? That tasted fantastic. That's everything that I could possibly want. That is a really intense experience, and it's not cut by the sugar or anything, right? So it's just very there and in your face. Okay. That is done. Let's go ahead and scoop myself a nice portion because I'm quite hungry. I've not had that much to eat today. And then I'm going to show this to you guys. Okay. All right. Let's head to the overhead camera. Or rather, all of it. I'm going to go ahead and get all of this out of here because I have no use for any of this anymore. Wipe all of this off one last time. And then I'm going to spoon myself over a nice bowl of rice and top it off with some chicken and broccoli, and then we'll be all set and good to go. So, where's my bowl? That's my dedicated bowl. Let's get a ladle. I think that will be a decent tool for the job. Yeah, there it is. It's just coating all of the chicken. Okay, first up, let's do the rice, actually. Get a nice little mound of rice on one side of the bowl. Excellent, as usual. And then a nice scoop of the chicken and broccoli with some of the sauce. Get some chicken pieces in there. That should do nicely. This was a lot of effort. A lot of active effort too. I was busy for the entire stream. My friends, that's that. And I'll finish it off with some raw green onion as well, just for fun. The chicken and broccoli has actually been concluded. We've done it. We velveted the meat. We built a sauce. We made some lovely, soft, fresh Haigu rice for it. As well, we velveted it, we poached it in water, then we just simply stir-fried it a little bit with the garlic. I'm pretty happy about how this came out. I don't normally do stir-fries at home at all, because I've never really had a vessel that I could do them in. This skillet, it seems to be good. I think the bottom might be a little wide. Maybe I should have done smaller batches, but I have a very good idea of how this is supposed to go now. Chicken looks great. That is lovely. Maybe a little too much ginger, but that is really, really delicious. And that texture, that is what you're looking to get out of that velveting process. Super tender, super moist. That is really good stuff. Yeah, that's just really good. That is just excellent. Okay. Everybody, this is the final phase of the cooking stream. So if anybody has any final comments, questions, concerns, let me have it. Let them rip. I'm just gonna be finishing this up in the meantime. This is great. My kitchen did get a bit hot. It's a little sweaty in here. That is intense. That is really intense. And it's welcomed, in fact. Hot. As for cooking ginger, how do you tell if it's done? It's like the same idea. What you're doing with garlic. You just kind of feel it. You just kind of wing it, I suppose. That's the way I've always done it. Delicious. You know what? Maybe some sweetness would have cut some of that intensity. Why, thank you. I appreciate it. This stream, a little bit more chaotic than usual because I was just trying some new things for the first time. What would I change? It's a lot of oyster sauce, maybe a little bit less that I used. That's kind of the only thing that really comes to mind. With all the rice soaking up the sauce. That is a wonderful eating experience. It's really savory. And I'm wondering, I'm comparing this mentally, of course, to takeout chicken and broccoli, why those feel so much lighter in taste. Mine feels a lot more intense by comparison. I think I want less ginger. I don't know. I'm still just trying to actively discern this and figure this out for myself. Chicken texture is impeccable. That part I am loving. I wonder how long I can actually push a velvet to. Maybe even cut the chicken a little bit thinner. That's kind of all that's on my mind at the moment. It's really good. Scoop up myself some final portions, some final bites of the whole thing. I'm annoyed to say this, but that little bit of sugar would have actually made quite the difference. I think that's just a taste I'm used to over time. That's basically all I've had in the chicken and broccoli. But, did I just splash this all over myself? I was so neat this stream, and I just splashed all over myself. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that's the worst. I'm the worst. I'm annoyed about that. So this is a combination of thighs, tender, and breasts, because I had all of those in the fridge that I wanted to get rid of. I deboned a whole chicken to make stock the other day. And so I got rid of all of them in one fell swoop. I don't mind doing that to all of them at once. I just think I needed to cut them all a little bit more thinly. So the velveting really had a very exaggerated effect. Oh, I splashed all over myself. This sucks. I'm never living this down. Kind of. I just used the Serious Eats beef and broccoli recipe, but I followed the directions on velveting for chicken. So if you want to recreate this, you would do that. Normally, I don't really teach recipes. This week, or this Wednesday, is just me trying something new. With the rice, all of it just comes together. That is a delicious bite of food like that. That's actually just lovely. The rice is pretty essential. It's cutting out a lot of the intensity because it's just so bland. So it's doing a good job. But yeah, okay, next time, don't use nearly as much ginger as I did. I didn't want ginger to be such a pronounced feature of the dish. It overstayed its welcome in my mouth, is what's happening here. Everything else, though, is excellent. But yeah, for days like this, I mean, every single time that I cook, it's always a process of deciding what we did, thinking about it, interacting with it, troubleshooting it as we go along, right? And so today, the biggest thing that I've learned was being a little bit more patient and giving it a little bit more oil whenever I added a piece of meat that I just velveted onto the pan, because it just sticks immediately if I don't do that. You gotta be patient. If you move it around too much, you're gonna get a bunch of burnt bits at the bottom. That's tasty. Delicious, in fact. Actually, just lovely. Okay, sweet. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Really, really appreciate all of you for being here. We're gonna go ahead and find somebody for us to raid on Twitch. Next stream is gonna be this Friday, 6 p.m. EST, Eastern time, that is. I see Rose is streaming. We're gonna go ahead and raid Rose. We do that every single time. And we have no reason not to. That was good. I'm gonna finish the rest of it with a spoon so that I don't waste anything left on the bottom. That's actually just delicious. Excellent. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We're gonna go ahead and away it goes. I'll see you guys 6 p.m. this Friday. So stay tuned for that. What we will be cooking, I still do not know at the moment, but it'll just be something good. It'll be something delicious, I hope. Hope everybody has a lovely rest of the Wednesday evening. Thank you guys for being here as always. Really appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, see you then. Bye-bye.